So yeah, so what I was saying was to do the the networking during the lunch breaks, the coffee breaks, maybe in the evening. There's there are a lot of nice opportunities. So do use that, because these are the formal sessions. These will there's limited time in these. So now let me start with the roundtable 2, where we will be answering. Basically, we will be looking at two questions, and each panelist will have about 2 minutes each round. So no presentations, just discussion. So each panelist will have about 2 minutes to react to that question of course, here what we are looking for is practices, experiences, lessons, best practices, and solutions. So not to talk about challenges, but let's look at solutions. So the first question will be: please share an example of international, regional, or bilateral cooperation that your country engages in for improving the implementation of disaster risk reduction and resilience measures. So it could be international, regional, or bilateral. So let's start with Mr. So from the National Committee for Disaster Management, Cambodia.
Very good morning. I think I probably need to speak a little bit louder, because when I sit over there, it's really difficult to hear what our speaker is talking about. So my name is Socheath. So I'm from the National Committee Disaster Management Cambodia. And this is very great pleasure to be part of this discussion. Talking about the disaster risk reduction or Sendai Framework implementation, I think everyone here is really understand and know about the good and the challenging. But our facilitator asking us just talking about what is very good moving forward and how we are collaborated for national, internationally to improve implementation of our Sendai Framework for action. It's just like very quick. For the National Committee Disaster Management, Cambodia is the authority to facilitate and coordinate all disaster management, and as well as facilitate and coordinate for the disaster risk reduction and implementation Sendai Framework of action. Every 5 years, to respond to what is our implementation against the Sendai Framework action, we have developed our National Strategic Action Plan, which our plan is addressed to the 4 strategic priorities of the Sendai Framework, which include the building understanding of disaster risk, improve the good governance, promote the investment on disaster risk reduction, as well as prepare and respond for the emergency. With this strategic priority, we have engaged all the stakeholders across in our country, like the UN, INGO, and as well as private sector, to sit together to look back forward for what we have done in the past 5 years, and then come up with the new action plan for the coming 5 years. We have not much resources within our country government, but through the coordination and collaboration with our development partner, and through the participation of them, there are willingness to participate and engage for both the resources and as well as the technical support. We also not just only work nationally, we also engage with the regional level, like within the Asian, we call our ADME work program is really something that we are putting together our conceptual idea to promote and support disaster risk management within the regional, how we are coordinate, especially how we strengthen the transboundary coordination among the country nearby our country. For example, we have a partnership bilateral with Laos, with Vietnam, with Thailand, and other countries like Korean, and will be signed in the coming future in October, and as well as with China. So with this bilateral collaboration, we can learn, exchange, and as well as take opportunity to improve our capacity from their technical expert, from their technical support. And for now on, we also seeing ourselves very limited in terms of the promoted people reaching out to the early warning. We come up with the early warning for all initiative and the roadmap just newly approved by our minister. And we are now working on the operational plan and looking forward to also participate and engage both the resource and technical support so that we are able to implementation our roadmap effectively. So this is how we are working in our country, and the partnership is not just exists with the national level facilitation, but the subnational level. Today we have our provincial committee disaster management that also other initiative in terms of collaboration and coordination is exists with the subnational level under the leadership as well. Like there is a lot of NGO, private sector that exist in within the province, and then they are also participate implementation of disaster risk reduction at that level as well. So from our role, we coordinate with the line ministry, especially for those line ministry that have very good knowledge on the sectoral, and they are able to participate and engage on disaster risk reduction within their sectoral body as well. So that's all from my end, and thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So now let me move to Mr. Jati, the Deputy Minister for System and Strategy, National Disaster Management Authority, which is known as BNPB in Indonesia. So your intervention, please, on your thoughts on international, regional, or bilateral cooperation for resilience.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjaya, and thank you for IDRLF and also Korea for this important event that we have today. I think this is the most important thing that we can share each other, how the Southeast Asian countries have done with the international and also regional and bilateral collaboration, which is also the most important thing, that we're not alone here. We're here together and sharing each other. So I would like to start by saying that in 2004, it was a wake-up call for us, for Indonesia, especially when the Indian Ocean tsunami hit Aceh at that time, when 127,000 people have passed away and also many people was displaced. At that time, more than 4.9 billion US dollar was damaged, and we need 7.1 billion US dollar to rebuild Aceh in 4 years. So the tsunami at that time was only 30 minutes from the earthquake until the tsunami, but it takes 4 years to rebuild Aceh. And that time was a wake-up call for the collaboration international supporting Aceh at that time, where many countries came to Indonesia and support the rehabilitation, reconstruction, post of the tsunami Aceh. At that time was discussion among ASEAN countries that in 2005, we have built the ATMER, where the regulation among ASEAN countries was rebuilt to how we can really strengthen the ASEAN countries when there's a disaster happen. And the implementing body of the ATMER is the AHA Center, where ASEAN Humanitarian Assistance was then in Indonesia in this time. For that time, in 2004, the National Disaster Management Authority was discussed, and then it was established in 2008, when 2007, the law of disaster management was built. So, relating on the question, the collaboration and international engagement, we have been doing that before the Sendai Framework was also discussed. And in 2015, we were the one also in the negotiation room. If you are there also, 72 hours discussing on the Sendai Framework, how we can really cooperate and also commit on this voluntary based on Sendai Framework that now is translated into the Indonesian Management Master Plan for 25 years from 2020 until 2045. This is beyond 2030, which is also 100 years of the golden years of Indonesian independence. If you also remember in 2022, 190 countries was in Bali at that time, and there was a global platform for disaster risk reduction discussing not only a conference, but how we can really accelerate and how we can really achieve 2030 Sendai Framework means that disaster risk reduction alone, stand-alone, cannot achieve if we are not working together related on the climate change and achievement of the SDGs itself. At that time, Indonesia commented sustainable resilience, breaking the silo, which is also mentioned by Professor Ono this morning, breaking the silo on climate change, disaster risk reduction, and SDGs is the most important thing, how we can really accelerate at this when we want to achieve the 2030 agenda. So in this case, Indonesia is really open for the collaboration with other countries. Internationally, we've been partnering with development partners, donors, or also countries related on how we can really engage each other and share each other and experience and technology, and not only in technology, but also in knowledge, science, research, innovation on financial issues, governance, and also resilience and infrastructure. Everything must be put into locally led activities that can really go to directly to people-centered approach. This is the spirit of sustainable resilience. So the important thing is how is the people, the community, people-centered approach related on that. In Indonesia, since 2012, we have been working with local communities and also the local government, what we call the Resilience Village Program. And we have also program that directly included with other line ministry where mega trust and also tsunami area, we have been strengthening by the program, how we can really see that resilience program on village is very important thing. So in this case, Indonesia is working with the ASEAN countries, and the coming month of October in Cambodia, we'll be also collaborating with the MOIS and the Korean government on how we can really engage the technology, exchange of collaboration and knowledge will be signed with the Korean government. Also, we've been working also with other countries like Japan, China, and also Russia, and any other countries like France, Turkey, where not only our minister is there, but also our president and head of state was also discussing how we can really engage collaboration among countries. Bilaterally also, we have been discussing how we can really engage. So we are ready because we're since 2024, we have been having this Climate and Disaster Resilience Center of Excellence discussed during the World Water Forum in Bali at that time. So we're open for the next collaboration with other countries. We see that this is important. Indonesia cannot stand alone also, and we have to be together to make ourselves regionally resilience, and also for the next global agenda for the sustainable resilience is also important to work together, not in silo. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Jati. And just for our audience also, please do interact further, because there is a lot of innovations were practiced during after the tsunami, especially in the recovery of Banda Aceh, so that there are very good examples there. And thank you for mentioning about the regional cooperation, which is the ADMER, which is again something which other regions could pick up, because I don't think there is a parallel in the other regions. So, so please have a look at that, how to reinforce the regional cooperation, and also the point about technology applications. Just to let you know, there was we had arranged a seminar on CJK, China, Japan, Korea, and ASEAN a few years ago on technology applications for resilience and risk reduction, and that there is a publication also available. We will share with you the online version. So there are lots of, I mean, for all the participants, you are in Korea, there are lots of applications of technology which you can witness here also. So now let's move on to Mr. Lorphengsy, who comes from the Labor and Social Welfare Ministry of the Lao PDR. So please, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute to discuss today. In response to the question, I would like to highlight some key examples. For international cooperation, we are partnership with UN agency, UNDRR, UNDP, WMO, WFP, UNEP for technical and financial support. Participation in crew initiative and early warning for all roadmap to strengthen forecasting and last mile communication. South-South knowledge exchange through UN platform and development partner. For the regional cooperation, active member of ASEAN Community on Disaster Management, ACDM, and implementer of ADMER. Engagement in ASEAN joint simulation exercise capacity building and peer learning. Cooperation with Mekong River Commission on flood and drought risk management. For the bilateral cooperation, cross-border data sharing and preparedness drill with Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Partnership with Japan, Korea, EU, and World Bank for risk governance, resilient infrastructure, and community-based DRR. Overall, support Sendai Framework priority, risk governance, early warning system, and community resilience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And this, of course, was mentioned also during the keynote, the early warning for all program, and that is, it is a very good platform for enhancing international cooperation. There's so much to be done, but also so much to learn from each other on early warning. So thank you for that. So now we move on to Mr. Abu Bakar from the National Disaster Management Agency of Malaysia. The floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Firstly, I would like to mention that Malaysia, since 2015, has been actively involved in at the international level in terms of disaster management, and of course, we are one of the nations that actually signatory to the Sendai Framework, and since then we have been actively involved at the international level, and we have been actively reporting annually to the United Nations UNDRR. And testament to that is the participation of our Deputy Prime Minister, who is also the head of disaster management in Malaysia at the global platform for disaster risk reduction in Geneva this year. Besides that, in terms of international technical partnership, we are actively involved in a number of committees, namely Typhoon Committee under the United Nations, as well as the World Meteorological Organization since 1968. Besides that, we are also actively involved in the technical collaboration in the Weather and Climate Science for Service Partnership Program in Southeast Asia, together with UK Met Office. In terms at the regional level, we are also a signatory to the ADMER, or ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response, whereby we contribute actively to regional response, operation, joint simulation exercise, and capacity building initiatives. As a good example is that we facilitated in the mobilization of ASEAN stockpiles from its warehouse in Subang to allow PDR during 2 major flood events, and also to Myanmar earlier this year for the earthquake response. Besides that, we also do a number of joint simulation exercise at the RDEC, or ASEAN Regional Disaster Emergency Response Simulation Exercise, such as in Yogyakarta in 2023, and most recently in Cambodia in July 2025. Besides the joint simulation exercise, we also support the other collaborative program under ASEAN, which comprise of capacity building initiatives, such as the ACE program, aimed at junior and mid-level disaster managers. And also, we actively involved in the knowledge and data sharing through shared regional response mechanisms such as ASEAN ERAT, ASEAN Emergency Operations Center Platform, and Disaster Monitoring and Response System. Besides the regional level cooperation, we also actively involved in the bilateral cooperations. As for now, we already have like 3 agreements signed, and currently we have working on 6 agreements signed, and also a number of ongoing bilateral discussion is going on in terms of disaster management at this point. So this kind of collaboration actually focus on strengthening policy and institutional framework, besides facilitating technical and skill exchanges, as well as conducting emergency response training. And output of such bilateral cooperations are emergency joints program, and this year alone, we're going to have 4 such joint training program, namely with Australia, the United States of America, Turkey, and Russian Federation. So this kind of joint training program aims to enhance knowledge transfer and build capacity for managing large-scale disaster, particularly those involved in collapsed structures. Besides the bilateral cooperation, we also engage in the operational support and assistance, whereby we deploy our specialized team called SMART Team to Turkey in 2023, Myanmar earlier this year, and also Myanmar earlier this year. So in short, Mr. Chair, Malaysia is committed to continue this kind of efforts to support the Sendai Framework, to strengthen resilience, leveraging science and technology, and fostering partnership to achieve goals of the SFDRR by 2030. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, talking about not only the regional cooperation, but also going beyond the region. And I think this panel is one of the forte is the regional cooperation. So that's coming out already. So moving on to the next speaker, Mr. Tiong from the Singapore Civil Defense. Singapore, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Bhatia. Yeah, so together with my ASEAN colleagues, we have many regional cooperation, as explained by some of my colleagues earlier. So distinguished colleagues, allow me to express my appreciation for the opportunity to share Singapore's experience at this dialogue. While Singapore is often viewed as a country facing very low disaster risk, we are a small island city-state with 6 million population, but we do recognize the risks and the impact of climate-induced hazards, which pose existential threat to our country. And in addition, disaster risks, as mentioned, they are interconnected and transcend boundaries. And this reminds us that resilience cannot be built in isolation and must be nurtured through sustained regional cooperation through ASEAN, as well as international cooperation such as this. So allow me to share 3 aspects and some examples of Singapore cooperation with partners and ASEAN member states on strengthening capacity and financial resiliency in our region. So firstly, on leadership and capacity building, Singapore organized a flagship event, the Strategic Policy Dialogue on Disaster Management, with the ASEAN Secretariat and the AHA Center annually. The event fosters and strengthens leadership on disaster management and also bring disaster management on the top of the agenda for discussion. This enables Singapore to contribute to strengthen ASEAN collective governance framework while creating opportunities for partners such as the government, humanitarian sector, and to share perspective and align strategies in the implementation of initiatives and programs that are aligned with the disaster risk reduction. On the second aspect of financial resilience, Singapore is a strong supporter of the Southeast Asia Disaster Risk Insurance Facilities, or SEDRIF. As the host of SEDRIF, and this is in partnership with World Bank and ASEAN partners, we have contributed to the shaping of regional platform which provides insurance services. So one such use case recently implemented just this month, 1st September, we have paid out $2 million to Laos after the typhoon affecting 300,000 population. This provides liquidity to address the immediate needs of the affected population. And having quick access and reliable financial support significantly lowers the devastating impact hazard could have on affected population. This demonstrates how regional solidarity can enable timely response facing disasters. So the last aspect is on technical expertise that Singapore provides. Singapore, through our meteorological services, we developed the ASEAN Specialized Meteorological Center, which monitors fires and haze, climate predictions, and provide weather outlook, satellite pictures, air pollution to the ASEAN region. This strengthens early warning capacity across Southeast Asia. And likewise, our Singapore's national water agencies develop plans and coastal protection and flood resilience policy to combat sea level rises. And we also partner many knowledge institutions to share flood risk modeling tools. And all this reflects Singapore's willingness to turn innovations into shared and global knowledge. And we believe resilience is best built through cooperations like the sharing today. So through our partnership with fellow ASEAN members and other stakeholders, we contribute meaningfully to the implementation of the Sendai Framework for disaster risk reduction. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and thank you also for pointing out that the point about the finance. And there's going to be a special session today on that in this forum also, but it is so important, as also mentioned in the keynote speech, that without finance, you can't implement anything. So thank you for that. And now let's move on to Mr. Pang Vacharakon from the DDPM, Ministry of Interior, Thailand.
Good morning, everyone. For Thailand has indicated the three main global development framework, namely SDG, Sendai Framework, and Paris Agreement under the UNFCCC. The formulation of the National Disaster Prevention and Mitigation to 2021 to 2027 is aligned with the above mentioned framework. In the addition, the implement on disaster risk management has been prepared to national to community level. To strengthen all aspects of the disaster risk management system and enhance people capacity, is also adopt the 7 targets of the Sendai Framework as key indicator to monitor progress and measure achievement in line with global standards. Risk assessment is the priority of Sendai Framework to help people understand risks and support effective disaster risk reduction. My experience is considered a good example of international cooperation under the project mainstreaming climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction in the development planning in Thailand, jointly carried out by Thailand, UNDP and ADPC. The project conduct pilot risk assessment in two provinces, Chiang Rai province in the north of Thailand, focusing on earthquake, and Songkhla province in the south of Thailand, focusing on the flood. The project enhanced knowledge on disaster risk assessment for the relevant sector, public, private, and local community. It is the data gathering to analyze hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. The output of the project are disaster risk scale and risk map. The pilot province utilize this baseline data to support urban planning and budget management for more effective implementation of DDR measure and activity. Moreover, the project fosters stronger ownership, participatory and engagement among local authority and community. The future strengthens national standard on disaster risk assessment. DDPM will collaborate with ADPC to develop a local level risk assessment guidebook and standard data sets for flood, landslide, drought, and earthquake in 2026 next year. Project will equip local disaster risk management agency with the skill and tools needed to conduct risk assessment consistently and line with international standards. Thank you.
Thank you, and very interesting again to use regional cooperation for the topic of risk assessment. So we heard earlier about early warning, we heard about response, but also for risk assessment. And it's also very interesting that we've heard talk of many regional organizations since the morning. So first we heard the mention of ADRC, which is based in Japan. Then we heard the mention of the ADMER and the AHA Center, which is the ASEAN mechanism. And now, just now, we heard about another regional mechanism, which is the ADPC, so which is also a regional IGO and focused on building capacity for resilience and risk reduction. So this is also something I think we need to explore further during lunch and coffee breaks to have these discussions. So now I move on to Mr. Nguyen, Miss Nguyen from the Vietnam DDMA. The floor is yours.
Good morning. I'm Liu from Vietnam Disaster and Dike Management Authority. Thank you for inviting me to share the experience from Vietnam. In Vietnam, we have engaged in various forms of cooperations to implement Sendai Framework for disaster risk reductions. About regional cooperations through ASEAN. As an ASEAN member, we participate in ADMER, we think it provides a strong regional collaboration, promoting zone preparedness, response, and capacity building on disaster management across Southeast Asia. And we also active member of ACDM, ASEAN Committee for Disaster Management, and we have successfully played a chairman role in ACDM 2023. About bilateral partnerships, Vietnam has partnered with many countries like Japan, Korea, European countries, United States to strengthen early warning system, disaster monitoring networks, climate resilient infrastructure, and these partnerships often include technical support, funding, and knowledge exchange. About multilateral engagement, so UN agencies like UNDP, UNDRR, UNICEF, we receive support for institutional strengthening community-based disaster risk management, and gender-inclusive resilient programming. Additionally, we had received technical and financial support from development partners like World Bank, JICA, and international NGOs to improve in strengthening resilience in disaster-prone area, improve infrastructure safety, enhance risk assessment and data system. So I think that all these collaborations have contributed to improve forecasting, stronger legal framework, and more resilient community in Vietnam. Thank you.
Thank you so much again, sharing the examples of regional and international cooperation. So I'm going to change the format a little bit now, because we were supposed to go into the next question, next round, but instead I think I'll open up the floor for a little bit of interaction and questions. So one very striking feature about this panel is that the level of regional engagement. I think that's an example for many other regions and sub-regions around the world. How it has been very successful, and I'm sure it has been challenging. It cannot be easy to do this kind of regional cooperation, but it has been very effective. So that is something very interesting from this panel. I open the floor up now for questions to the first roundtable and the second roundtable. Any question or comment that you have, this is the time, this is the opportunity. So even to the first one, the Northeast Asia panel, which also has a regional body called the Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, which is a co-organizer with us here today. So both roundtables, any questions, floor is open. Or any thoughts or comments that you may have. Not yet? Then, okay, so then I will ask the question. Okay. Then again, going back to this, this example of the regional cooperation in this panel is very striking, very inspiring. And I know, I mean, definitely, we have seen in other regions also, they have tried, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it doesn't work enough. So, and I'm sure in the ASEAN region also, of course, all the countries are different. They have difference of opinion. And yet, this kind of mechanism has worked. So my question is, just like in a couple of sentences each, or maybe just one sentence each, what is the key success factor that you think has made regional cooperation here work? Why does it work here? And what can the audience from all over the world learn about that? So, what are the key success factors? So, Mr. So.
What I have learned from the regional cooperation, especially bilateral with the country, is we have the common purpose, the same thing, and then we have the same situation, especially like, for example, Cambodian and Laos, we are exposed the same thing, and not our level of the capacity as well as the what we call the cultural practice, and as well as the resource, and especially the way of we are working and living together is the same. So then it primarily lead for our success for implementation of our policy.
Thank you. Jati.
Thank you. I think if we look back again after the 2022 GPDRR in Bali, and then there's 2023, the ASEAN Leader Declaration on Sustainable Resilience. So it's not only for ASEAN regionally, and we've been supported by Australia program, Siap Siaga. It impacted to the Pacific Island Forum also, the 17 islands, countries in Pacific. Means that not only taking the ownership and trust and responsibility in our regional, but also impacted with other regional countries, not in ASEAN. So we've seen that a strong regional platform is important. Like ASEAN, we have ASEAN, we have ADMER, but it can be also incorporated with other regional platform like the Pacific Island Forum, this is important for both of the regional area, including Australia, Pacific, and also ASEAN. So this kind of thing that we want to see is not only impacted the strong collaboration in the regional, but also impacted with the other regional thing. The other thing is the alignment with the national policy, which is also supported, for example, like program like cost-benefit analysis from the SDCs or Swiss government. We want to see how much investment we want to use after the disaster, or we need the investment before the disaster. The Germany also supported us like the adaptive social protection. This is one of the innovation on how we can really protect the people on social protection, and how we can really see the budget of the gap of the national at the local level, including the local GDP. That is also important. Now we have what we call the National Pooling Fund. It's actually to fill the gap when the local authority doesn't have the money to have the disaster risk reduction program or activities. The other thing is about knowledge exchange and technology transfer. I think this is very important. Since we have the data, it will become the information, it will become analysis, and it become a strategy for us. We have with AHA Center, and also to support from the USA, and also to support of the InAware program, which is collaborating the data, of course, with the Japan, and also with the UNDP and the program of the data information with the UNSCAP. It is important also to have the risk information data that can be created with the artificial intelligence for the next end project, and how we can really see how we can really deal with the risk itself and with this. And the other thing is with this key success factor, how we can look ahead, how we can really see the scaling up anticipatory and risk-informed financing issues like the pooling fund, blended issues. We have been discussing with the G20 countries on the disaster risk reduction working group, what is actually the innovation of financial issues, including blended fund, pooling fund, and other mechanism like risk transfer, risk insurance, and so on. The other thing is about the integrating climate and disaster risk agenda. This is important also with WMO, BMKG, the National Climatology Geophysics Agency in our country, and how we can really see transferring from early warning, early action, anticipatory action into real action, what we can really see the community aware, and how we can prepare the community to be understanding their risk and how to react when the disaster will happen. And the other important thing is how to expand the inclusive partnership, not only with the government, not only with the community, but also with the private sector. We have just what we call the ADEXCO, ASEAN Disaster and Civil Protection and Expo and Conference that will be held every year annually. And this year was the 4th time where people, private sector, industrialization is important to create as how we can really see from science, technology, research into industrialization for disaster management. So this key messages factor is very important for us, not only for Indonesia, not only for ASEAN, but for whole regional and global. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was very comprehensive and covers, I think, all the aspects. So very interesting. And again, something which I think needs to be explored further. So let me go on to Mr. Lorphengsy from Laupedia. Key success factors.
Thank you. Four key success factors from Laupedia experience: strong government leadership and ownership, Ministry of Agriculture and Environment, Department of Meteorology and Hydrology, and Ministry of Labor and Social Welfare ensure DRR is aligned with national priority. Inclusive partnership, engagement for multiple stakeholders, including CSO, community, women, and personnel with disability, ensure cooperation is people, inter and context specific. Regional mechanism, platform like ASEAN and Mekong River Commission provide structure, coordination, peer learning, and resource mobilization. Technical and financial support, international cooperation work best when coupled with capacity building, technology transfer, and predictable funding. For example, CREW, Early Warning for All, World Bank, Japan. How to further strengthen cooperation? Invest into an early warning system, prioritize last mile delivery, so information accessible to all, including vulnerable group. Scale up South-South and triangular cooperation, expand exchange of good practice among countries with similar lists and context. Mobilize climate and DRR financing, increase access to blend finance, concessional loan, and grant to implement list information development, enhance data knowledge sharing, cross-border information exchange, especially hierarchical and methodological data should be timely and transparent. Institutional multi-stakeholder platform bring together government, UN, private sector, academia, and community to jointly monitor Sendai target and progress. To conclude, Lao experience shows that effective international cooperation is built on trust, inclusive, and sustained investment to meet the 2030 Sendai goals and need deeper partnership with another agency and countries about resilience and prevention. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there a question? Yes, there is a question here, Mike, in the center.
Thank you very much. I am Lisa Silerio from the Philippines, and I heard a very important angle during the course of the presentations. The private sector is a critical partner in disaster risk reduction, but businesses need clear incentives to invest in resilience. Incentives that are financial, maybe policy-based, reputational, or operational. In your countries, can you share a solid incentives that have pushed private sector to do disaster resilience works? Thank you.
Thank you. So what we'll do is, we'll pause for a minute. If anybody wants to react to this point, how do what is your experience of engaging with the private sector to also support the resilience? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know whether the current engagement of the private sector in case of Cambodian is already can anticipate it to the resiliency levels on disaster risk reduction. But what is the National Committee Disaster Management is trying to do is now we're having a platform we call Cambodian Preparedness Partnership, which is evolved the local for development agency and as well as the private sector. The private sector, we have Association for Small and Medium Enterprise, which is thousands of the local for business, they are part of that. And then we have the joint partnership together, implementation, a joint project at the local level. The first expectation from us is buying in them to participate and to understand why the disaster risk can protect their livelihood, I mean their business when they are exposed, for example, annually exposed by flood, drought, and other crises. At least their participation will be able to let them understand the disaster risk is part of our strategic objective. And then when they understand about the risk, they know how to mitigate risk by its own self. They are also engaged in the capacity building, the simulation exercise, and as well as they also understand if they are participate with the disaster risk management initiative, like a meeting, discussion, all that thing, they will be able to understand how they shift the business toward in anticipated for response, as well as anticipated for secure their business, and also maintain their daily product that can participate with disaster risk. So we are not coming up for the questioning about how you are contributed your benefit or resources, because you know some of business in a country context is look like opportunist business. When they have seen opportunists, they just come to grab the benefit, and then they run over for other nearby country when the benefit is coming on. But the local businesses, they are living there, they are together with our community, so they need to sustain their own business. So then we are not really pushing them, hey, you have to contribute your profit to support for this and that activity, but your engagement and participation will be valuable enough for this stage. So this is how we are anticipated our private sector, the local organization on disaster risk management in our context of Cambodia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else? Yes, please.
I can also add something. Thank you for the important question, since we have been also engaging the private sector. Before we have got this platform on private sector on DRR, engaging with other sectors, not only the industrial and also infrastructure, but also in financial issues. Also with the state-owned enterprise that is also engaged with things that related on disaster management. For example, like this next days in October, we will have this preparedness month, and it will be held in east of Java. And the engagement of private sector is very important, where they support also anything related on what is needed for the partnering with the public and also the government, and also the 4P that we have been doing on. And the Ministry of Coordinating Economic also have regulation policy related on business continuity plan and business continuity management for industry and private sector, which is also important, not only during the disaster happen, but also how to prepare themselves. And we have been also engaging with the insurance company and what we call the state-owned enterprise Indonesia RE. This is a reinsurance company, which is also how we can really see risk insurance is very important. Working with the Ministry of Finance, how we can engage the private sector also before the disaster happen, and also how we can put people at center approach to protect the people itself, and how is the important role of the private sector in economic issues. And the other thing is related on what I've been mentioning about industrialization, working with industrialization. So we put it as a roadmap, how we can really see in 2045 Indonesian golden years of independence is already put it into President decree that industrialization on disaster management is a roadmap timeline to see that the self-sufficiency of industrialization is important. For example, like tools, equipments, anything related on disaster can be provided from Indonesia, and it can be also used for other countries to be engaged. So I think this is important issues not only during the disaster, but also the whole cycle of disaster that private sector is also included. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for raising that point and bringing in the very important role of private sector. So continuing with the key success factors, why does regional cooperation work, and also, of course, the international cooperation, but more why the regional is working. Mr. Abu Bakar?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think most of the key success factor has been comprehensively mentioned by our colleagues, earlier colleagues from Indonesia, for example. I mentioned a lot of the factors, but I just would like to mention a number of factors. In the Malaysian experience, the first, of course, is the policy alignment between the domestic policy as well as the international policy, like the Sendai Framework for disaster reduction. That's very important, because without that kind of policy, the other things cannot be implemented successfully. So the second part is the commitment or the political will. Beside a good plan and policy, it can't be effectively implemented without any political will from the leaders and as well as from the organizations involved. So that is very important in our context as well. And thirdly, what we like to mention is about the enablers and the implementation mechanism. What I mean by enablers is that the agencies that are in charge of the activities must provide a very good mechanism for the public, or even for the public sector to get involved, and also for the agency themselves to be highly skilled to participate and to engage in whatever disasters that come forth. So having said that, Malaysia, at this point, we're going to launch our disaster month, awareness month, this month, in October. Beside that, we're also going to launch our first inaugural Resilient Asia exposition and forum. That's going to be a big platform for all levels, from the domestic, regional, and international level. And all of you here are invited to Malaysia on the 24th to 26th of October. This platform is actually enables all the key players in disaster management, as well as the key makers, as well as the public at large, to be involved in the exposition as a meeting place for them to meet and spark conversation that could lead to innovation, hopefully to better manage disasters in Malaysia and also in the regional and the international levels. So I think that's the three important factors that Malaysia would like to propose at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think there can, over lunch, maybe we can have a bigger discussion on political will, you know, how to generate it, but also how to sustain it, you know, over different governments and regimes. So moving on, Mr. Tiong, your reflections.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatia. Thank you, my colleagues. And also thank you, the questions from Philippines, our ASEAN members. So actually I wanted to answer is also part of our success factor. So from Singapore's perspective, we don't treat disaster risk reduction as a standalone policy. It must be interwoven into the policies that guide us, like urban planning, in businesses, in civil defense, in climate adaptation, infrastructures. So this is a whole of government and whole of society endeavor, so that we can integrate and get the private sectors involved as well into disaster risk reduction. So this is one success factor that we have adopted. It must be not a standalone policy, but interwoven into all our policies, which is somewhat like the policy alignment. So the second success factor, I take reference from our ASEAN work, because we mentioned a lot on ASEAN collaboration on disaster management. We have the ASEAN Committee on Disaster Management, the ACMA, the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management, as well as the AHA Center, which is our ASEAN response mechanism. So this means that to be successful, we need a very strong governance and a structured framework. So without this, we cannot be successful. Yeah, we must have this assurance that when things happen, the reliability is there. So these two are the key success factors which we think will help us to bring forward DRR. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for pointing out the mainstreaming aspect and you know, everything includes DRR. So now moving on to Mr. Pangwachcharakon.
Thank you. For Thailand, is recognized in the important international cooperation in strengthening the country capacity to achieve the Sendai Framework. The National Disaster Prevention and Mitigation Plan 2021-2027 outlines strategy to promote international DRR partnership, including strengthening bilateral and multilateral cooperation, developing coordination mechanism on humanitarian assistance, and enhancing national standards to providing and receiving humanitarian assistance, and promoting research, academic collaboration, and exchange visits in the field of disaster risk management. Thailand working closely with many UN agencies and international partners to raise disaster risk awareness and strengthen DRR capacity to ensure our future resilient society. The challenge of the climate change and extreme weather, therefore, it's necessary to have enough sufficient investment in DRR. In line with the early warning system, Thailand has developed a multi-hazard early warning system and implement cell broadcast technology, as well as disseminate early warning message through social media to ensure the people in the risk area are able to receive reliable information. The government of Thailand also contribute and support the UNSCAP multi-donor trust fund for tsunami disaster and climate preparedness, which aim to strengthen early warning system across the Asia-Pacific region. Recently, Thailand has collaborated with UNDP and ADBC to develop post-disaster needs assessment (PDNA) guideline tailored to the Thai context for three sectors: housing, health, and education, with disaster risk reduction serving as a cross-cutting them. The guideline developed process engage relevant agency to understand the PDNA concept, provide information, and discuss the standard method and collecting loss and damage data. Furthermore, the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration and several municipalities have adopted UNDRR, Making City Resilient 2030 initiative to promote sustainable development with community-based disaster risk management country to serve as a key approach for strengthening community resilience to disaster and climate change. In conclusion, international cooperation and sharing lessons learned from foreign countries and significant foundation to overcome our capacity limitation, gain access to advanced technology, knowledge, resource, and expertise, and thereby accelerate progress towards sustainable safety and resilience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And let me now move on to Ms. Nguyen.
Thank you. Based on Vietnam experience, several key success factors that contribute to international cooperations for disaster risk management. First, we have very strong institutional framework. The government approved national strategy for disaster prevention and control, and also plan or law on disaster management indicates that international cooperation is one important solution for disaster risk management. And we have to fully implement all the international agreements that we cite, like IDRLF or Sendai Framework. And based on that, we have effective institutional setup. We have National Steering Committee for Disaster Prevention and Control and our Office of Vietnam Disaster and Dike Management Authority that enable to coordinate all actions in disaster management and close coordinations between ministry and partner. Second, inclusive and community-based approach. The program like CBDRM and with the active roles of government, those small business, community, ensure that disaster risk reduction efforts are locally grounded and socially inclusive. Third, we have very effective partnerships activity that contribute financial resource with technical expertise from international partners to have progress in multi-hazard forecasting, scientific research, and understand the risk of response planning. Since 2019, with the permission from of the government, the disaster risk reduction partnerships has established with 30 members with the objective to promote effective participation of organization and individual in disaster risk reduction activity, and it's still working very effective in Vietnam. That integrations disaster risk reduction with development goals. In Vietnam, it's required to integrate disaster risk reductions into socio-economic plan and national strategy so that can create an enabling environment for cooperation and promoting sustainable growth. Thank you.
Thank you. So I know we have eaten into half an hour of the lunch break. So I know there are some questions here. But we won't take them now. What we'll do is, please, interact during the lunch break and during the coffee break with the panelists, and have your discussion at that time. So right now, because we really need to break now for lunch, and then we come back from lunch at 2 o'clock, we start the next session. So let me again thank the panelists. Very excellent example of international cooperation and regional cooperation. So let's give them a big hand.
So thank you very much, all the panelists, for sharing their experiences and knowledge, and our same depths of our appreciation goes to the moderator. 여러분, 패널분과 우리 좌장님께 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 감사합니다. Thank you very much.